Hi, Jeremy here, Modern Vitality. In today's video, it's a walk and talk, and we're covering a question that I've seen a lot in different forms. And that question is, what's the relationship between triggers and symptoms? So if you're dealing with a complex chronic health condition, right, this is a systematic issue. You have multiple systems involved: immune system, digestive system, neuroadrenal, blood circulation, right? Hormones are involved. There's a lot of stuff, mitochondrial dysfunction, a lot of moving parts, right? These are complex conditions. And the symptom picture can be all over the place. Some of the common symptoms are like brain fog, fatigue, exhaustion, depression, anxiety, trouble sleeping, headaches, chronic pains, libido changes. There's a ton of stuff that goes on here. So while this can be a messy, confusing kind of picture, I've found that once we start to understand there's a distinction between triggers and symptoms and how this actually works with a 4-stage model of healing. And if you're at all familiar with my work, you probably heard me going on about these 4 stages, right? And it's systematic. We're looking at the systems in the body. When you understand how triggers come in and affect those systems, and then how those systems are interrelated, then we can understand the symptoms that are coming out the other side. Now, symptoms, I should start, right? I'm operating under the assumption and the premise that symptoms are a message from your body, right? This is a signal from your body. Your body's communicating to you via symptoms. They're uncomfortable by design to get your attention, to tell you something's wrong. Right? Just like when a baby cries, the baby cries because it wants something, it needs something. That cry of a baby is uncomfortable by design to prompt you into action, right? This is what the body's doing with symptoms: pain, exhaustion, right? All these things, they're uncomfortable, right? And I understand that you may want a break from them. You may want them to go away for a little while. And it may be tempting to try to do symptom suppression type treatments and all that. But long-term, the people I work with, they're interested in long-term healing. Long-term, we have to embrace those, not to suffer needlessly, right? But to understand and feel what your body's trying to say, and then be able to reverse that back so you can figure out what to do to get better, right? So here's the question. This question comes in 2 forms, right? One is the form that most people present it in different ways, which is, I had something happen, right? A triggering event. Could be a physical injury from a car accident, right? And I've never been the same ever since. Or I got bit by a tick, right? And I had mold exposure, or I got a divorce, or I had a baby, right? And I got depleted during that process. Whatever it is. I moved to a new city and it was very stressful. There's a ton of different triggers, right? A ton of them. This can happen, and then we go, okay, we're starting to look at the different body systems, right? And say, okay, immune system, digestive system, neuroadrenal, blood circulation, right? These kinds of things. And you might say, okay, great, I got a mold exposure. That's an immune trigger. And now my life hasn't been the same. But how come this immune trigger is causing symptoms in a different department, right? This immune trigger of mold is causing me to have heart palpitations and anxiety at night. That sounds more neuroadrenal, right? Stage 1 trigger, stage 3 symptoms. What's up with that, right? Or could be something else, right? Like, okay, I now have stress, and I feel like my workload is increasing and I've got no time to myself, and all of a sudden now I'm getting sick all the time. I've had a stage 3 trigger that's giving me stage 1 symptoms, right? I've had a neuroadrenal trigger and it's giving me immune type symptoms. Or that stress comes in, and now instead of feeling like you're getting sick all the time, the stress comes in and it gives you indigestion, right? Horrible feelings of nausea and your stomach's in knots, right? Or you're having bowel problems, something like that. So we can have triggers come in and they affect a system, and then they come out with symptoms of a different body system. So that's one way people ask. They say, okay, I had X, Y, and Z thing happen to me. Sounds like it's a stage 1. How come it's causing stage 3 symptoms, right? That's weird. And then the other thing, the inverse to this, is when I've had people I've worked with in the past and they've got like this whole line of symptoms, and then they come back, they report back, they say, okay, I started doing the things you told me to do, and I'm working through my stages, and I've noticed this other symptom got better too, right? Like, so for example, maybe it was a libido problem or something like that. They never told me in the first place. They kept it to themselves, right? How are my recommendations helping these symptoms go away when I never knew about the symptoms in the first place? This is cool. These are like the kind of secret clinical wins that happen. But that's also what happens when you're not treating symptoms. You're not just going after symptom relief. You're going after systematic improvement, right? We're looking at systematic causes, systematic improvement, meaning making your whole system healthier will improve function in your whole system, which means sometimes symptoms that you didn't even tell me about can get better because we're going stage by stage, system by system. Your body is a huge system of microsystems inside, right? Our whole body is like one big system. And you could look beyond that even. My relationship with ecology and nature and where I live, right? There are larger systems at play here. And then my body's a smaller system within that. And then within my body system, there are other systems like the immune system or the digestive system, whatever, right? Urinary system. There's all kinds of stuff going on, all different layers. So what I would offer here is that what we need to understand is that when we have a complex system like the human body, if you have triggers come in, so for example, a depletion trigger, I stayed up too late, or I have been working too hard, or I've been out dancing too much, having too much fun, right? Or I had a pregnancy that really took a lot of my energy, right? That depletion trigger, that's actually a stage 5 trigger. That's like a secret stage 5, right? Not everybody needs to go through stage 5. I only talk about it here and there, but depletion is stage 5, right? Your mitochondria are getting beat up. You're running yourself ragged. You're kind of draining your battery one way or another, right? But that may cause not only fatigue, right? Just where it goes across, but that might also cause immune issues, right? Because your battery's too low. Now you're catching colds all the time, right? Or that may cause digestive problems. And now you're in a catch-22 because you're low on energy and you're not digesting well, so you're not getting more energy out of your food, right? We need to break that cycle. It's a vicious cycle. It may cause neuroadrenal problems, meaning you stayed up too late and now you're irritable the next day, right? These kinds of things, they start to make sense, but we have to be able to dissect it and understand the inner workings of going, okay, we have triggers coming in, and those triggers are going to affect a body system, right? But the nature of our body is that the body systems are all intermingling and they balance each other out. So if you have problems in one system, other systems will adapt and compensate, or there can be downline effects, right? And then depending on your unique presentation, your constitution, what's going on with you, those body systems, whichever ones get most affected, are going to start to speak, right? They're going to speak in the language of symptoms. That's the language they have. So my job, right, is to be thinking in whole systems and go, okay, these are the symptoms, right? We know about the body systems, and I know the order of operations, right? I know how to intervene with these systems in a way that makes sense, where the progress you make in one will strengthen and build the others. Because you can't just start anywhere, right? That's the shotgun approach. This is the analogy I use a lot for this, is everybody thinks their health's locked up, right? You got Lyme disease or mold exposure or whatever it is, fibromyalgia, long haulers, right? Candida, reactivated Epstein-Barr, anything, any of these funky autoimmune type head scratcher conditions. And you think, I got to unlock this, right? I got to unlock my health. Where's the key? It's not a key, right? It's a combination. Your health's locked up, but it's a combination lock. So you need to understand, and I'm telling you the combination. It's immune system, digestive, neuroadrenal, blood circulation, right? That's the order for most people. Every now and then we have slight variations through that process. But in general, that's the universal language our physiology wants so it can get better. That's the order of operations. So if I can interpret these symptoms, right? Okay, these symptoms are coming from these systems. These systems need to be intervened with in this order. Then we can reverse it. So now that the triggers come in, and they're not going to have the same type of effect, which is great because most people, right, when you start to get a lot of symptoms coming, you'll start to limit your activities and try to limit your triggers. And that works except for when it goes too far. And now you're not living life at all, right? You've created a shrinking world for yourself where the fences you put up around your life to protect yourself become a cage that keeps you trapped in a very small world, right? So you've limited all your triggers, great. But now that's not the end of it. That's just the beginning. We need to actually get your systems sorted out so that your body becomes more resilient. And the symptoms can go away, right? And now the systems, as they're stronger, they can take on more like stress and strain from the environment. You can start to take some of those fences down. You can start to peek out into a re-expanding world without everything kind of going back to hell, right? And being fragile. So that's, in general, that's how we look at it. And you need to understand that not every symptom is going to be a one-to-one correlate of what caused it, because the triggering events go into a vortex of complexity in your body. And where it comes out in terms of symptoms could be in any system, subsystem of the body. It just depends on how you're built. I hope that helps. If you're interested in these kinds of conversations, or if you're dealing with a complex chronic health condition, you don't have to struggle alone. We've got a group. It's a wonderful group. As I mentioned, we take questions in there. I've got lovely people from all over the planet going through this process, right? Healing their body system by system. There's a lot of wins. There's a lot of challenges too. You can be in there looking over my shoulder and see how we troubleshoot the bad days. It's a great place to be. It's free to apply as a guest. I would encourage you, find the link. You're a detective. You'll hunt it down, right? I'll take a look at your application. And if you're very thorough and thoughtful and, you answer the questions and kind of give it your best, I'm going to be also very thorough and thoughtful, and I'll make a decision, and we'll see if we can get you in the group. It's wonderful. All right, so there's that for today. Triggers, systems, symptoms, right? You got to start to understand this so that you can start to untangle some of this mess and get your life back. It's probably the most important thing you got going on right now. If you're watching a video like this, you need to prioritize your health, right? And that's it. That's going to unlock the whole rest of your life. All right, let's get you feeling better. Cheers.